Who will win the match, Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson? This is LALATE. Thanks for joining us for Friday. As always, like and subscribe to this channel and drop your comments below. We'd love to hear who you think is going to win the match. I mean, it's all teed up. It's the second major exciting event in golf coming to you this month. We have another event just shortly a few days before, which we're going to cover in a second. But Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, who first heated up pay-per-view in 2018, as reported on LALATE, are now taking to the golf course again for one day on a Sunday, and they've added 2 football players to the mix. Tiger Woods will be paired with Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady is ready to win with Phil Mickelson. How can you watch, and how can you watch the tournament, and who do you think is going to win? The tournament will be Sunday, May 24th. It starts at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it will be held at Medalist Golf Club in Hobe Sound, Florida. And the trash talking has already started. Now, if you can't wait that long and you need your golf fix, get it on May 17th, because that day there's some excitement as well. Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson are taking on Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff. Are you going to tune into that? And who do you think is going to win that? I really think Rory and Dustin is such a combo. I mean, I love Ricky, but Rory and Dustin is just nothing I would ever bet against. All right, so what could we say about this upcoming Tiger and Phil event? I mean, it really is what golf needs. If any press event was to be held, it would be this, but this is for charity. And PGA really doesn't still know what his schedule is going to be for spectators because it hasn't gotten clearance from the federal government or local municipalities. So they started to schedule a few events in the coming weeks where no spectators will be allowed. So how can you watch golf in a way that's truly exciting? And this is the one. LALATE reported on the match the very first year in 2018. And Tiger, at the moment, you can really expect him to play the Ryder Cup if he makes it, the PGA Championship, the U.S. Open, and the Masters, and maybe Jack Nicklaus's Memorial Tournament. But the rest is really up to grabs. And Tiger really hasn't given clarity, but he has given clarity that he wants to win the match Champions for Charity. It's $10 million going to COVID-19 assistance. And it's a partnership with All In Challenge. Who's going to get the money? A lot of great institutions. Direct Relief, the American Red Cross, Save Small Businesses, and the All In Channel. How does it work? I mean, that's always the big question with these take-it-all one-day events. It is a 4-ball best ball play, which, if you know, that is always exciting to watch. Followed by 9 more holes of alternate shot play at Medalist, which is just, boy, if you remember the first one, as reported on LALATE, it went very dark. It went way too dark, and we could remember reporting on the story and thinking this is just never ending. It is unclear what they have prepared for lighting this time around, because the first one was just... If you watched the first one, drop in the comments how long you watched it, and really, who did you think was going to win? It was really quite uncertain that time. You know, the first time was November 2018. Mickelson beat Tiger for $9 million. At that time, it was not for charity. It was really to go in his pockets. And Phil was still talking about that one today, or this week. He said, this thing is, Tiger's got to the best of me throughout our careers. If you look at the big picture, the guy has the greatest record in the history of the game, so any little thing I have, I'll hold on to. Do you agree? Do you really believe Tiger is the best in the game? I certainly do. This win, he says, Phil, I'll hold on to. I know that it bothered Tiger. You know why I know it bothered him? Because he insisted he come back and compete the next one at his home course so that he had the home course advantage. I completely understand that thinking. I probably would have done the same thing if I had lost and I was pissed off too. So here came the trash talking, if you didn't see it online. Phil says, Tom and I are going to go down to your home course and we're going to defend the title again, and there are no excuses. So there we go. You know, How much will it cost? What channel? Back in 2018, it was $19 USD, and it was on ATT DirecTV or UVerse services, which basically costs around $20. But if you remembered, and we certainly did, you could really watch most of it on social media live. And there was a web link, and you could click on it, and you could basically watch the whole thing. Which hopefully they really do something like that, and have a charity button next to where you can donate to charity while watching the event. I mean, that's the purpose of the event. The purpose of the event is charity. Then have a link somewhere on the button on the stream that you're watching on the website, which presumably for free, and donate some money. And if the web link on the internet is going to be charged, well, figure out a way to inspire a lot of people to donate, because this is really a great cause. Back in 2018, it was distributed on Comcast, Charter Cox, Verizon, and it was actually viewed anywhere from US and Canada. The start time then was 12 noon Pacific Standard Time in 2018. And even then, that just did not leave a lot of time. Some would have claimed that there was a little bit of delay of game by a certain golfer during that tournament that sort of dragged it out. The point leaders at the time were giving great spreads. The promotion at the time was interesting in 2018. They said, this will be the first ever pay-per-view event which will feature 4 hours of commercial-free golf with unprecedented access to the two greatest golfers in history as a square off for ultimate bragging rights. Yes and no. I mean, it was not 4 hours. That's obviously a no. It was a lot longer than that, which was actually quite entertaining. But did you really get a lot of behind-the-scenes elements? And I really don't think you did. I mean, obviously the golfers were mic'd, but we really could have seen a lot more behind the scenes. And it was a little bit of a sheltered shoot. The POV, the point of view, was not as exceptional as it could have been. But you do certainly have a different broadcaster, a different sponsor, and a whole different repertoire this time. So that's something to hope for. You know, back in 2018, let's look at who was really dominating. We know Phil won, but he wasn't particularly dominating the whole time. By the 12th, Phil and Tiger were tied, as LALATE reported at the time. By the 13th, Phil Mickelson started to get a lead. By the 14th, Phil Mickelson held the lead. And by the 15th, he still held it. So for 3 holes, Tiger really couldn't cut that lead in 2018. It didn't change by the 16th. But finally at the 17th, that's when Tiger turned it around. He won the 17th, and at that point, the tournament was back up all tied again. That's how exciting the 2018 tournament was. It wasn't until the 17th that Tiger really put himself back into contention. Phil reacted at the time. He said, this is a unique opportunity to do something that I've had a hard time doing, which is to get a leg up on Tiger, even if it's just for one day. Well, he didn't have a big leg up on Tiger because he only had a leg from the 13th to the 7th to the 16th. And we know what happened after that. But, you know, they were tied at the 12th. They were tied at the 17th. And then we had that endless round that never ended. Phil added the bragging rights of the thing. I want to be able to rub it in. I don't want to be able to, I don't want it to be rubbed in. I want it to sit in the champion's locker at Augusta National and talk smack about it. Well, there you go, Phil. The format in 18 was the following, that Tiger and Phil would play an 18-hole match where players would earn a point per hole. Unlike the stroke play, the total score doesn't matter, rather the number of holes where a player scores lower than his opponent. For example, if Tiger scored a 4 on the first hole and Phil scored a 3, Phil would be up by 1. If Tiger wins the next hole, it returns all to square, officials told News at the time. We don't have a lot of other details yet about the scoring. I'm sure we're going to get that. But in the meantime, we have May 17th around the corner. Boy, it's, you know, We're coming back from our stay-at-home orders. We're getting into the groove of things. We may not be able to see golf live in person, but, you know, if you're like me, you've enjoyed watching golf on Sunday in replay, old tournaments over the month of March and April, thanks to CBS, who's done a great job showing us old tournaments on a Sunday, which we would have been normally used to. There's nothing more wonderful than watching golf on a Sunday morning. And even in this case, they show us some of the greatest highlights. But May 17th, Rory McIlroy and Justin Johnson versus Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff. And that will also be to benefit charity. What are your comments on that? So who do you think, you know, drop below in the comments, who do you think is going to win on May 17th? Will it be Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson, or will it be Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff? And finally, who do you think is going to win the match? Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson? And who do you think is the better golfer between Peyton Manning and Tom Brady? Drop your comments and we'll feature them in tomorrow's update. As always, stay with LALATE for more.